Chapter 8. Saturday, late afternoon. It looks like you've got something about to blow Meredith's case wide open, Doreen said, matching his quiet voice. I don't know how that would have come off her finger. Well, it's off her finger unless you found a finger over there, Mac asked, his voice thickening. She shook her head. No, but again, I wasn't looking. The metal's glint in the sunlight caught my eye. And remember, Goliath showed us this one. He nodded. I may have to go over there and take a good look at his garden. You probably should, she said. Now we've got handcuffs and a ring. I know, he said. I'm not liking this at all. No, but it makes my neighbor's place a very interesting scene right now. Not so interesting, he said. This stuff has probably been there for a long time. He looked over at the neighbor's house and frowned. Any idea how long he's lived there? She shook her head but pulled out her phone and said, Nan will know. He looked at her. I can also check the property records. She shrugged. She'd already dialed Nan. As soon as the voice on the other end called out cheerfully, Doreen said, Good afternoon, Nan. Do you have any idea how long Richard has lived here? Nan, as if understanding this wasn't a joke but a more serious question, said thoughtfully, You know. I'm thinking at least 10 years. No longer than that? I don't know. It's been quite a while. Nan's voice was apologetic, as if she knew that wasn't enough detail. That's all right, Doreen said. I can find out with an internet search. Is it important? Not too important, Doreen said warmly. I can find it out on my own. Okay then, Nan said. Are you okay? I'm doing fine. I've been gardening and am about to sit down and have spaghetti. Oh, lovely. Does that mean Mac is there with you? Nan asked in that gushing tone of voice. Yes, Doreen said with a chuckle. I made the sauce as he hovered over me. Mac spoke over her, saying she did just fine. Nan sounded thrilled at Mac's voice. Oh. I'm so happy, dear, so happy he's giving you cooking lessons. We were just discussing maybe putting a deck out in the back. Did something happen to it? Nan asked, puzzled. No, Doreen said. It is still there, but we're thinking of making a bigger one, where I can put couches or chairs and an umbrella for sitting outside in the sun. And maybe, a barbecue. Oh, that would be lovely. Take some of that money you've been making and do something with it. That was the plan, Doreen said. But it'll be quite a while before all that auction money is settled up, and I actually get a check. It depends if I can figure out how to make a deck happen before that, with a lot less money. You sold those car parts, Nan said. If you take that money and exchange it for a bigger deck out back, that's a perfect trade-off. Oh, Doreen said. I wasn't even thinking about that, but it might be possible. It depends on the money situation. I haven't a clue how much the taxes are on this place, and that's coming up in a few months. Less than a few months, Nan said. You should probably already have the paperwork. I think it's about $500. Really? That's not too bad then, Doreen said. I was expecting it to be about $5,000. Oh, maybe, Nan said. Honestly, I've forgotten. And then Nan hung up. That's not reassuring, Doreen said, turning to Mac. $500 to $5,000 is a huge difference. But to Nan, it's only a zero, Mac said with a chuckle. And you can find out your property taxes easily. There's a government website for that. You just put in your folio number for this place, and you're good. And I'll find that where? Good point, he said. In the paperwork from previous years. Oh great, Doreen said. I suppose the taxation was held back because of the change of ownership. That would make sense. But that's all right. You'll figure it out. And it shouldn't be that much. My taxes aren't all that much and neither are my mom's. All that much? Maybe $600 to $700, he said. Start by figuring out what you want for a deck. Then we can work out what it would cost to get the materials and to do it ourselves, because it's only a little bit off the ground. I don't think it'll be that much, maybe $2,000. She swallowed hard but nodded bravely. Only $2,000. So, in theory, if I could pay the taxes and the other bills coming in with Nan's cash in the bowl and my gardening jobs, I could still use some of the money from the car parts to put in a bigger deck. At that, she stared outside and realized just how badly she wanted it. Mac nodded. For the existing deck, all you have to redo is the boards. And they're looking pretty old as it is, so you should take off these old boards, and we can slap some new ones down. You need the supports for the little roof over here, but you could take the railing off if you wanted it to match. She loved the idea of that too. Well, I guess the first thing to figure out is how many of those cinder blocks we need with the anchors to put on the big beams. I'll have to do some research. You do that, he said. Then he returned to the stove and said, "It's time for you to stir the sauce." She lifted the lid, but he pulled her back and warned her about the steam. When it dissipated, she stirred the spaghetti sauce, and its aroma filled the room. Mac, however, looked at the sauce critically and said, "It's a little thick." "Is it?" she asked with worry. "What do we do then?" "Well, water will distill down some of the flavor." "Do you have more tomatoes?" "Tomato soup, crushed tomatoes, tomato sauce, anything that we can use to boost it?" She led him to the cupboard with the food and said, "This is what there is." "Right. I remember this from cleaning it out last week. You really don't have much, do you?" She shook her head. He nodded, went to the fridge and pulled out 5 fresh tomatoes. He chopped them and added them. "I guess it really doesn't matter, does it?" Doreen asked. "Straight tomatoes can make it very strong," he said. "You can use tomato soup to cut some of that, if you want. You can also use a bit of cream." And at that, he opened the fridge, found her cream and poured in a hefty dollop. She watched in amazement as the cream turned the sauce into an ever so slightly lighter color. "So, now the tomatoes won't be so acidic?" "You can also add sugar," he said, "but I'm not a big fan because it's too easy to ruin a good sauce." "I don't like sugar anyway," she said. "Unless it comes in the form of zucchini bread." She laughed. "Exactly.